happy to partner with the New Mexico Museum of Art in presenting it. After tonight's presentation, please join us at Hervé Wine Bar for drinks and a bite to eat. 10% of all food orders tonight will go towards programming at Las Golondrinas. Hervé is located just 1 block away at 139 West San Francisco Street. And we have little flyers out front. If you haven't grabbed one, please do. Thanks to Hervé and to those who join us tonight in support of Las Golondrinas. At this time, please remember to silence your cell phones. Turning them off is even better. There will be time for questions following the presentation. At the end of the lecture, please exit the auditorium and wait to speak with Dr. Vigil and his family briefly in the lobby if you wish. The museum has to close soon up after the end of this presentation. Everyone can support both Las Golondrinas and the New Mexico Museum of Art by becoming members and/or volunteers. Visit our websites for details or join us on your way out. It really makes a big difference and we really, really appreciate it. For those of you watching this broadcast later on the Golondrinas live sessions, please post any questions in the comment section and they will be addressed. Please visit our website and social media for details about the final presentation in this lecture series and our upcoming 2025 season. I look forward to seeing you all at all of our events. Tonight, we are very honored to welcome Dr. Cipriano Vigil and his family, offering a musical presentation of the ritual and tradition of New Mexican folk music. This is a presentation unlike any we've offered in this series in the past, where we'll all not only learn about Dr. Vigil and the history and traditions of New Mexico folk music, but we'll enjoy a musical performance from a true New Mexico living treasure. Cipriano Vigil fell in love with music at a very early age. Born and raised in Chamisal, New Mexico, he spent his youth among musicians. He learned traditional folk songs through observation, memorizing finger placements, taking notes, and practicing on his guitar, alone or with friends. Self-taught and unable to read or write music, despite being an accomplished musician, he earned a bachelor's degree in music education and 2 master's degrees in bilingual education and ethnomusicology. Throughout his education, he continued to observe musicians throughout New Mexico and Mexico, learning their techniques and gaining knowledge of various folk music styles. He started his formal music career at Northern New Mexico College in 1980 and retired in 2004. During that time, he completed his PhD in ethnomusicology. He was the chairperson of the Fine Arts Department at NNMC for 10 years and continued to teach part-time after retirement. Dr. Vigil has shared his passion, knowledge, and talent for preserving and disseminating the folk music of New Mexico at the Smithsonian Institute, in classrooms around New Mexico, and has performed throughout the US and Mexico. He's a recording artist, has self-published music books, and compiled a collection of his own compositions. Dr. Vigil has written compositions for theatrical performances and films, and has recently composed and recorded several poemas musicales, musical poems. Dr. Vigil has been honored as a living treasure and was a recipient of the Governor's Award and the New Mexico Endowment for the Humanities Award. He is a 3-time nominee for the National Heritage Award for outstanding work in maintaining and preserving traditional folk music. He passed on his knowledge to his children and grandchildren. They perform as a family and continue to educate, entertain, and inspire audiences while preserving the musical traditions of New Mexico.
Thank you. Gracias. We're going to start off first with a little waltz that made its way from Spain. It's called El Valse Zenona. This waltz was written for a princess that was named Zenona in Spain, and somehow the music made its way to this part of the world. She never did, though, the princess, but the music did. And here's an example of that, Valse Zenona. Valses en Ona. Thank you. You know, it's a wonder that I can still play after going through 3 strokes that since in 2023 in November up until now I hadn't done any music because I was way down and under. But anyway, thank God, I'm trying to come back again and do what I used to do with the music. Thank you. The next song is a composition of mine. It's called El Viejo y Yo, The Old Man and Me. Now, how it started was that I saw myself in the mirror one time, and the reflection was that of an old man. And I started having a conversation with him, and I could hear him talking back to me. You know. So anyway, I wrote that song, but when I wanted to record it, my hair was already white, so my granddaughter came up with this brilliant idea to get some spray paint they use for Halloween and paint all my hair, my beard and everything, make me look young so I could take a picture in the mirror as a young person. And before that, I took a picture of the old man in the mirror. So anyway, here's the song, El Viejo y Yo. Yeah. Anoche me vi en el espejo y que me conocí. Pregunté quién es ese viejo, se parece tanto a mí. Pero para mi sorpresa, él me respondió. No temas, hombre, tú eres yo, tú eres yo. Al estarme él hablando, yo su rostro reflejé. Estaba lleno de arrugas y su piel color café. Se movía muy despacio y su pelo ya blanqueó, pero con su voz ladina a mi corazón calmó. Quedé mudo por un rato al oírlo hablarme a mí. No tengas miedo, pues ten confianza en mí. Le dije, no seas tonto, ¿cómo puede ser así? De que me hables por el espejo y que yo te puedo oír. Al estarme él hablando, yo su rostro reflejé. Estaba lleno de arrugas y su piel color café. Se movía muy despacio y su pelo ya blanqueó, pero con su voz ladina a O tuyoy o la bola blanca o la bola blanca. Okay. Yeah. The next song, another composition of mine, but this one I wrote many moons ago, and it's called La Bola Blanca del Arroyo de Agua, the white ball from the Arroyo de Agua Creek. In between Chamisal, my community where I was born and raised, and Peñasco, it's about 3 miles. Well, there's a creek that runs right in the middle, and everybody calls it Arroyo de Agua. It never has water, it's always dry. I don't know why they call it Arroyo de Agua. But anyway, there were stories there about my grandfather and other viejitos used to say that if you went through there at night, things would come out, like ghosts or fantasmas. Well, I don't know, one day there was this big dance in Peñasco, and I wanted to go see the musicians. What I would do is I would take a little notepad, a little pencil, and make my way through the musicians and stand in front of the músicos, and I would take notes of what they were playing, and this is how I taught myself how to play. I was probably about 8, 9 years old at the most. Well, anyway, when I heard about this big band was coming to Peñasco, I went to my mamacita and asked her, can I go to the dance tonight? She looked down at me and said, nah, you're too chavalo to be home, be going over there. You got to stay home. Please, Mama, let me go. No, you're not going. We got into this big argument. I figured no way I can be able to win her. So I said, well, I'll wait until she goes to bed, goes to sleep, and I'll sneak out the window anyway. Sure enough, as soon as I heard her snoring, I took my shoes off, opened the window, jumped out, and took off to the dance. By that time, it was already dark, and everybody had already gone, so I couldn't think of getting a ride or anything. So I had to walk to the dance. And I was thinking of this when I got to that creek. When I got to that creek, I was confronted by this white furry ball right in the middle of the road. I said, it's probably a white cat. Shoo, kitty, get out of the way. That thing wouldn't budge. I said, no way, I'll walk around it to this other side. I tried to go through this side, that thing would move in front of me. It wouldn't let me pass. I said, the heck with the dance, I'm going back home. I ran back home as fast as I could. And of course, when I got home, my mamacita was waiting for me. You know how they know everything. But anyway, she saw me all pálido, all scared, and asked me what had happened, and I told her about that white ball. She goes like this to me and tells me that was probably your guardian angel for disobeying me. And it must have been because that night at the dance, there was a big fight. A lot of innocent people got hurt. I don't know how many ended up in the hospital. Others were hit with rocks and glasses. A huge fight. That white ball saved me. So anyway, I wrote a song about that called La Bola Blanca del Arroyo de Agua. Bailazo yo seguía sin pensar en la maldad que mi madre me advertía con sus ruegos de piedad. En aquel arroyo de agua una bola blanca vi, entre más me retiraba, más acerca de ella a mí. ¿Dónde vas, hombrecito? ¿Dónde vas corriendo así? Me regreso a mi casita que una bola blanca vi. Noche en el baile tuve golpes entre amigos, unos 3 bien garreteados, otros quedaron heridos. Gracias a la bola blanca, aunque entonces me asustó ese febril escarmiento, ahora sé que me salvó. ¿Dónde vas, hombrecito? ¿Dónde vas corriendo así? Me regreso a mi casita que una bola blanca vi. Al llegar a mi casita, a mi mamá pregunté, ¿qué será esa bola blanca que me sigue a donde esté? Es el ángel de tu guarda, el que te hizo regresar, gracias a la bola blanca, en tu casa debe estar.
¿Dónde vas, hombrecito? ¿Dónde vas corriendo así? Me regreso a mi casita y una bola blanca vi.
Esa noche en el baile hubo golpes entre amigos, unos 3 desgarroteados, otros quedaron heridos. Ese terrible escarmiento ahora sé que me salvó. Esa noche en el baile toditito se acabó.
¿Dónde vas, hombrecito? ¿Dónde vas corriendo así? Me regreso a mi casita y una bola blanca vi. ¿Dónde vas, hombrecito? ¿Dónde vas corriendo así? Me regreso a mi casita que una bola blanca vi.
Thank you. Memoria. You know, in New Mexico, we have this custom that we have rituals for almost any occasion. We have music. We have music for weddings, for baptisms, for death, funerals, all kinds of different events. We always have music. But anyway, I wanted to share with you La Marcha de los Novios, the wedding march. It's been changed so much. When I first started, very young, in Chamisal, they used to have what they called la resolana, los resolaneros. And it was, the resolana was a house that had a large wall with no windows, and the sun would hit it and it would send the heat back, and people would get the radiation of the heat, and people would gather there to practice their guitars or violin or songs or whatever, poetry. So they called them resolaneros. Well, I used to go over there, and they used to chase me away because I didn't know how to play yet. But eventually I was accepted, and that's how I also started learning the traditions, the different styles of music that we had, and I would share what I would learn with somebody else, and it was a beautiful thing, though. But anyway, when we did the wedding march, I used to hear this one here, first of all. That one's called the Marcha Zacatecas, which was written in Mexico, and it was a march to go off to war. I don't know what it has to do with weddings. But, so when I hear that in a wedding, I say, oh, poor bride, or poor groom, depends on how big she is. But anyway, the one that I learned was this one here. marcha de los novios.
So one thing about the marcha is when the couple gets married in the temple, in the church, in the eyes of God, what they do then, right after the matrimony, the musicians would line up and they would play this marcha, and the marcha would go all the way down into the sala, which was the dance hall. Right there at that dance hall, I mean, it wasn't where they would jump in a car and drive it. They would have to walk the entire time while the musicians are leading, singing, or playing this marcha, escorting the married couple to the dance hall. Sometimes it was half a mile, sometimes it could have been a mile. So you could only imagine the strain on the musicians, but also on the bride and groom while they were walking in the middle of summer, probably in their tuxes and their dresses and so forth. When they do this, the marcha, right after the marcha, they also do the valse, the wedding waltz. And I believe that is what my father's going to play next.
Yeah,
You want to talk about
now
that?
the valse, of course, after they finish the marcha, everybody makes a huge circle, and the newlywed couple is in the center, dancing now they call it the dollar dance. Before it was just a dance, the valse de los novios, and of course they would accept gifts, like the women would bring in, they would pin money on the bride or on the groom's suit or on the bride's gown for them to dance, for maybe 2-3 seconds. And I heard the stories of a man going to the bride and saying, "Here, an egg for breakfast," and dance with her. They would give whatever they had, And the women, of course, they would tell the groom that they were going to give him some pots and pans. I don't know if they expected him to do the cooking or what, but they would give him gifts like this until everybody had a chance to dance with him. And here's an example of the el valse de los novios. En re. Something's wrong with my... Valse de los novios. I had a different one. I had a little senior moment, like they call it. We have been very fortunate, my family and I. These guys, Cipriano and Felicita, their very first concert that they performed was at Las Golondrinas. And that was 41 years ago. And we dressed them up in Spanish colonial styles, and we went to Las Golondrinas to perform there. And And then, of course, people were taking photographs on that, and so that's why we dressed them up in that form. But they didn't want to play. They didn't want to sing. They had been working at the house. They had practiced and everything. But I guess when we got up on stage, they got scared, so they started crying. I got a little, not mad or angry at them, but a little stern, and I told them to get up on stage and start singing and playing. Well, Felicita was playing the cuatro, and Cipriano was playing the maracas. And of course, they were crying and playing at the same time. But then they started throwing money at them. So Cipriano, without any missing a beat or anything, I don't know how he did it. He got both maracas in one hand, continued, and started going, picking up some money. And then Felicita looks up at me like, how can I do it? I told her, don't worry, you guys will share. They made about $80 that day. They said, where are you going to take us? And I said, wherever you want. Toys R Us, they said right away. It took them about a few toys, but then they went and bought some clothing. After that, the ice was broken. They would come, Papa, Papa. They would come, when are we going to go sing? So anyway, that was their first concert, and we've been performing ever since. We've been very fortunate that we have been called to the Smithsonian 3 times.
7 different times we've been there. 7 different times.
Or 7, I lost count.
So we, like my father said, we've been fortunate to represent New Mexico. Out of all the musicians in New Mexico, we were the group that we've got selected to perform at the Smithsonian Institute. And over, was it 1.2 or 2.4 million people got to see us in those 2 weeks that we were there performing. And
they had a big, large tent for the Hispanic music, and they had tents everywhere, but they had the biggest one for the Hispanic music. And what I used to wish for every day, for it to rain at 1 o'clock, because that's when we started our performances.
And
so
sure
I had
enough.
a captured audience every time, because everybody would run under that tent to shelter the water, the rain. And so I had people that were really nice. And they were really young too when we started there at the Smithsonian.
You know, sorry to interrupt, but we've been very fortunate, like my father was saying, but not just as the family. I'm going to say more us, the children. You know, we grew up in this household filled with nothing but music. And at first, you know, as young kids, we wouldn't take things serious. It was just music here. But as we grow and we get accustomed to these traditions, we grow up with these traditions, it's a part of life. You know, we've been very fortunate that my father has instilled this traditions in us as well, to my sister, my nephew, myself, but as well as my children as well. Unfortunately, they weren't able to come, but we all perform as a big family, and we got to give props to my father for being there and showing us these traditions.
You know, of course, I wanted to mention a few things about us so you could know who we are. After I retired from teaching at the Northern Community College, which I was teaching music, well, after that, I wanted to continue with the music, so I started going to the schools, and I started teaching them how to build a cigar box guitar. And I built one, and I went to a school, and I talked to the supervisor, the principal, and asked her if she would be interested in having this done at her school. And she said, sure, let's try it. We did 25. After that, it just caught fire, it seemed like, because every school wanted for us to go into their school to teach them how to build cigar box guitars. Wow. I've done already probably close to 5,000 guitars all over the state with the schools. And outside in the table, you'll see a little compilation of photographs of the schools with the kids in their schools with their guitars that they made. If anybody's interested in looking at them, that's another area that I wanted to touch. And I brought some guitars for sale. If anybody's interested, they're going like hotcakes. I haven't sold a single one yet, but anyway.
So one thing that my father forgot to mention, right? Maybe I might just not misunderstood or didn't hear. All these guitars that he does, that he shows the kids how to play the guitar, the kids take part in actually building the guitars. So they learn the whole genre of like the neck, the strum, the string, sound hole, so forth. They get to build these guitars, but also at the end of the program, they get to keep the guitars and they take them home and they can, as a memento from them. And my father's dream, what he's told us, is he wants to get a musical instrument in every home here. That way the music can live on.
Well, they're Mexican.
Okay, yeah.
Mexican cowboy, okay. Okay, this song, another composition of mine. I was invited to this cowboy poetry gathering in Elko, Nevada. They must have seen me with my Stetson hat or something, I don't know, but I got invited to go over there. I was in the middle of cowboys from Wyoming, from Canada, from New Mexico. There were a few,
Australia.
some all over the country. And we were sitting backstage in the theater where they were calling us up on stage. And I remember seeing all these cowboys, big 10-gallon hats or more. Well, anyway, they called out the first cowboy. He walked out on stage bow-legged and tells the audience, I wrote these songs 5 years ago. And he did his set and then went back and they called the next cowboy. And he goes out also with a 50-gallon hat or some bow-legged as well and tells the audience, I wrote these songs 3 years ago. And he did his set. Then they called me, and of course, while that guy was doing his set, I found a napkin on the floor, picked it up, got a pencil. I had a pen with me, and I used the back of the guitar, and I wrote a song right then and there. And then when I walked out, when they called me, I walked out with my napkin, put it on the music stand, and I said that my horse was very skinny because I wasn't bow-legged. And then I told them, and I wrote this song 5 minutes ago. So I beat everybody, but also I didn't want to tell them what the name of the song would be or it was. So I wanted them to find out what it would be. And likewise, I'm not going to tell you the name of it. See if you can figure out what it would be called, okay?
No sé mucho de caballos, pero sí sé jinetear.
No sé mucho de las vacas, pero sí las sé lazar.
Yo sé cuando tienen hambre y pues luego ahí voy,
Porque esa es mi vida, soy un Mexican cowboy.
por el valle de Peñasco, por ahí donde me crié.
Es la vida de ranchero, eso sí es cosa fiel. En las noches en los campos contemplamos lo de hoy, porque esa es mi vida, soy un Mexican cowboy. Esta vida es muy dura, el trabajo es sol a sol, pero tiene recompensa y no hay otra mejor. A llevar todo el ganado a la sierra yo me voy, porque esa es mi vida, soy un Mexican cowboy. Ya con esta me despido, pero adiós no les diré. Esto es solo un hasta luego, hasta nos vamos a ver. Hasta el día que me muera, seguiré haciendo lo que soy, porque esa es mi vida, soy un Mexican cowboy.
Mexican Thank you. ¿Qué hora es? ¿Cuánto tiempo tenemos?
12. It's a little bit hard to figure out that title of the song, right?
Oh, yeah. Good idea.
So this next song that we're going to be doing
Let me put
has different names, I guess I can say, that's known all over the world. But here in New Mexico, there's only one
Let's do it in
name
A
for it,
minor.
which is La Llorona.
A minor.
Sin campo. How many of you guys have heard the legend of La Llorona? All right. So there's various different versions, of course. Now be careful, because this one bites.
People ask me, how do you play that? I tell them very carefully. Wait a minute. Let me put some rosin on it. Can you give me the rosin? Put some rosin. Forgot to.
Me dicen el negro y llorona, negro pero cariñoso. Todos me dicen el negro y llorona, negro pero cariñoso. Yo soy como el chile verde, llorona picante pero sabroso. Yo soy como el chile verde, llorona picante pero sabroso. Ay de mí, llorona, llorona, llorona de azul celeste. Ay de mí, llorona, llorona, llorona de azul celeste. Aunque la vida me cueste, llorona, no dejaré de quererte. Aunque la vida me cueste, llorona, no dejaré de quererte. Ay de mí, llorona, llorona, llorona de ayer yo. Ay de mí, llorona, llorona, llorona de ayer y hoy. Ayer maravilla fui, llorona, ahora mi sombra soy. Ayer maravilla fui, llorona, ahora mi sombra soy. Si al cielo subir pudiera, llorona, las estrellas te bajarán. Si al cielo subir pudiera, llorona, las estrellas te bajarán. La luna a tus pies pusiera, llorona, con el sol te coronará. La luna a tus pies pusiera, llorona, con el sol te coronará. La Llorona. Thank you.
You can relay the questions through him because I'm a little hard of hearing. Anybody has any questions? Just
Go right ahead. So right now, we have my daughter, Marisol, and my son, Alonso. Like I said, unfortunately, my kids were not able to come. My daughter's a nurse in the emergency room, and she wasn't able to get off. But the whole family sings and plays. My mom sings and plays. My wife, my kids, and I mean, a lot of my father's brothers and sisters play as well. But in the group itself, it's just what you see here: my daughter and my son.
and my wife is the one that takes care of the sales of CDs and books and cigar box guitars and all that.
Go ahead, sir.
Father, you have restored my concept of what it means to be a man, a patriarch, a treasure of New Mexico. What a wonderful thing to do.
Thank you. Thank you. That really means a lot, sir. Thank you. We have a question in the back.
Thank you.
Oh, 1 second. Yes, go right ahead, ma'am.
Oh, yes. Do you ever set to music the work of New Mexico poets like Jim Sagal?
Answer that. Can you repeat that one more time?
Yes. Do you ever set to music the work of New Mexico poets like Jim Sagal?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes, we do. Actually, him and my father were actually very good friends, and they worked hand in hand together as well.
I've written a lot of music for other people to as a background and or to help out, not only in recordings, playing, but also lyrics as well. I've done. There was a play by. I can't remember his last name, but anyway, he was a poet, and he wrote an opera called Lola's Last Dance, and I wrote all the music for the whole set, for the whole play, and it was distributed all over the state of New Mexico, and even to California. So I've done a lot of work like this with other people as well, you know, and I've helped like 5 or 6 people get started with their recording in CDs. I started them recording. They wanted to record, but they didn't have the money to go to a studio or anything like that. So I told them, well, just come over to the house and I'll record you. Of course, it wasn't a professional style because of my equipment, but it was good enough though, and that's how they got started. Now they're out there playing music, and so that made me feel good to help people out with the music. Anything, anybody else?
We had a question. A lady in the back. While she's walking back there, just a quick little alliteration. So all these traditions that we have here are starting to dwindle down. You know, there's a vast of traditions that we have, like a baptismal music. When the baby is born, when they're baptizing, we have traditions for that. We have traditions when the marriage. We have traditions for the funerals. We have traditions for, I mean, it's a vast traditions that we have here, but slowly they're starting to dwindle away. You know, hopefully that we can keep them alive a little bit longer so that way we can teach the next generations.
In trying to keep it alive, I wrote a book that's considered a treasure. Considered a treasure by UNM Press and also by the Humanities Council and also by me. And the book talks about the rituals. Starts out with the rituals of the traditions, like Cipriano said, the baptism ritual, and then the wedding ritual, and then the entregas de los difuntos, the funeral ritual. And then, of course, it goes into the dances, the traditional folk dances that we used to do as a group with my family. My wife was instrumental in teaching those dances. And then also all the traditional styles of music like inditas. And, you know, we should do an indita.
Go right ahead in the back, ma'am.
I think you answered my question because it was going to be about how do you see those traditions being kept in the future? Because I was thinking this has soul and this cannot be replaced by a robot.
Yes.
So even if you put AI over there, they wouldn't do it the same way that you do it. So I was going to say that, and how do you see it kept in the schools and in education? So you answer my question, part of it.
I knew we had this connection here. Yeah, so like I say, we're trying to keep it instilled in all the next generation of course, when these traditions were first either not created but passed along, this was actually the in style. Now it's a whole different genre, a whole different kind of music that the younger generation are listening to. And it's just an honor that my father has taught us and instilled these traditions in us that, now this is what I think is cool. This is awesome that we got to learn these traditions passed on by other musicians as well. So by my father, by my grandfather, and so on. And we intend to try to keep the traditions going on by passing it to the next generations as well. So thank you, ma'am. Sir?
We're going to do a short version of an Indita.
There's one more comment. Go ahead, sir.
I guess my question is, do you remember this? 30 years ago, I was making a historical documentary on the Salinas Pueblo missions, and I came up to your home in El Rito to record you, I wrote the lyrics, but you sang it to the lament of the Via Sur expedition, which I had heard at the Spanish Colonial Society.
Right.
And I walked in your house, right through your living room, and a skinny teenager was sitting on the couch playing video games. It was one of these bang, bang, shoot 'em up things. And he ignored us as we walked through to your studio, which was lined with charangos. I'd never seen so many charangos in my life. And you recorded that song, and then you asked me if I was interested in any other folkloric songs from the Estancia Valley, and I said, absolutely. And you said, well, wait, I'm going to get my son to accompany me. And I thought, no way is that disaffected teenager going to come in here. But he came in, he was polite, he was respectful, he accompanied you. I was amazed.
Thank you. Thank you. I wish I can still say I was skinny, but that's long past.
An Indita.
So here we go, La Indita. So,
Thank you. Any other questions?
lady in the back.
I had seen you before at the Dixon Art Tours, my good friend Esteban Arellano.
Ariano was
And
there,
I am
yes.
just so excited and happy to be here to hear this. Elena, her sister, grew up next door to you, her grandma, Evangelina. So we're vecinos somehow, and it's wonderful. I was curious how many people here grew up on the high road to Taos in any of the villages. If anybody's here that has family that grew up there, I was just curious about the audience.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
It's our
One-
pleasure to be here.
There's no presentation without a commercial. So we do have some CDs for sale, and I have a book that comes with 21 CDs 80 minutes long each CD that complements the book that I was telling you that I wrote. And I also have 3 cigar box guitars for sale. If anybody's interested, they'll be sitting outside on the table. We'll be there in a few minutes. So, if no questions, thank
I
you.
think we have just time for
Appreciate
maybe
you.
1 or 2 more.
Hi, I'm Mike. Mine super quick. Are wind instruments ever considered traditional New Mexican, like flutes or trumpets? Are they ever in traditional New Mexican music?
Are they considered?
Traditional New Mexican.
Not really. They're more from the east, I think, like in Alabama, Kentucky, those areas. But they've been around here for more than 45 years too. So my father used to make out of cigar boxes, but he made violins. So, but that's how I started getting a cigar box guitar. I had a cigar box, and I said I got to do something with it, and it dawned on me a guitar would be ideal. So I tried it, and it worked. So, but it's not really traditional New Mexican, but it's been adopted already, though. A lot of people love to be able to learn how to play them, and they're simple. They're really easy to play. 4 strings. I started off with 3 strings, and then I graduated to 4 strings. So,
Another question in the back, sir?
Yeah, thank you. This is truly wonderful. Coming all the way from Chicago, so this is really quite a treat for us.
thank you.
I'm really thinking a lot about tradition and what does traditional music mean. And I wonder, for the next generation, for the kids, are you composing new music? Are you changing it in any way? Are you creating new melodies? In what way are you thinking about this new cultural output? Are you thinking about changing anything, or do you want to keep the music the way it was inherited by your parents?
So, as far as the answer for that one is, we would like to try to keep everything exact to the traditions that were handed down to us. But also at that same time, we are writing new music, more contemporary music, to actually jive with the newer generation as well. So we are working on that as well, and creating more music to, like I say, just something that the younger generation can relate to as well.
I have a CD out there that has 2 CDs. I call it musical poems, but they're more like symphonies that I composed, that I wrote. And I included about 32 instruments, a whole orchestra. And the only problem was finding an orchestra to play it. So I had to do it myself. And I found these Garriton instruments on the computer, which are live instruments. So I use that to be able to make the music, and it's beautiful, beautiful compositions of nothing but music, as like a symphony. But they're probably about 8 minutes long, and so takes us into like the classical style as well,
A huge thank you to La Familia Vigil.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. I hope you've enjoyed it.
Thank you. I want to thank my family as well.